This image reveals a dark truth of the Wild West around 1897. A man stands with enslaved people, mostly women, in shackles. In that era, slavery was a brutal show of wealth and power. The more people you owned, the higher your status. Here are the 20 rare colorized photos of the Wild West that were banned in history books. Number 20. The Hatfields of West Virginia. High in the rugged terrain of West Virginia, a haunting image taken in the year 1897 captures the Hatfield family at a pivotal moment in American history. Known as central figures in the infamous Hatfield McCoy feud, the Hatfields are seen standing with unwavering defiance. The men, armed and alert, wear expressions carved by years of conflict and determination. Though the women and children carry no weapons, their faces convey the same strength and quiet resilience, hinting at the heavy burden of a legacy soaked in strife. This deadly feud, which erupted in the years following the Civil War, grew from simmering tensions over land ownership, old grudges, and sometimes petty slights. What began as a localized dispute soon escalated into a prolonged and bloody conflict, featuring ambushes, shootouts, and retaliatory killings. The violence gripped Appalachia for decades until federal authorities finally stepped in to force a resolution. While the guns have long since fallen silent, the tale of the Hatfields and McCoys remains deeply etched into the lore of American history, symbolizing the devastating cost of vengeance and loyalty taken to extremes. Number 19. The Cowboy and His Burro. This striking image of a cowboy alongside his burro opens a window into the gritty, practical side of life in the American frontier. Far from the dramatic horseback chases often glamorized in popular culture, this photograph reveals the quieter, more enduring partnership between man and beast. The burro, small but incredibly tough, was a vital part of the cowboy's world, reliable, low maintenance, and capable of navigating harsh, unforgiving terrain with ease. Unlike the swift horses that dominate tales of the Wild West, burros were the unsung heroes of frontier survival. They carried supplies, tools, and provisions across miles of rocky trails, especially in regions like the Oklahoma Territory and the rugged deserts of the Southwest. In the demanding environment of the West, where self-reliance was key, a cowboy's bond with his burro went beyond utility. It was built on mutual endurance. This photo captures more than just a moment in time. It speaks to a deeper truth about the realities of Western life. The cowboy and his burro, moving together through a wild and unsettled land, represent the blend of determination, resourcefulness, and companionship that defined the era. The burro was not just a beast of burden. It was a lifeline, a quiet but steadfast partner in the daily fight for survival. Number 18. The desolate town of the Wild West. A haunting image from 1865 shows a ghost town in Wyoming, captured after years of abandonment. The once thriving settlement, now devastated by neglect, serves as a somber reminder of the fleeting nature of life on the frontier. With its dilapidated structures and empty streets, this photograph encapsulates the transience of the Wild West, a land where communities rose and fell with alarming speed as settlers moved in pursuit of new opportunities, only for many to leave when those opportunities vanished. The image speaks to the harsh realities of frontier life, where people faced not only physical danger from outlaws and wildlife, but also the volatility of the economy. Many towns sprang up quickly due to natural resources like gold, silver, and cattle, only to collapse when those resources were exhausted or when the railroads bypassed them. Wild West towns were often short-lived, serving as temporary stops for settlers, miners, and cowboys seeking their fortunes, only to be abandoned when the resources or businesses dried up. Number 17. The Rufus Buck Gang. The Rufus Buck Gang carved a dark but unforgettable chapter into the saga of the American frontier. Made up of young men from African American and Native American backgrounds, the gang emerged in the 1890s with a fearless mission that quickly turned deadly. In the lawless stretches of Indian Territory, what is now Oklahoma, They carried out a whirlwind of crimes that included robbery, kidnapping, and murder, shaking local communities and drawing the wrath of law enforcement at every level. Their violent spree, though brief, was fueled by deep resentment and a desire to strike back at a system that had long oppressed them. These young outlaws, pushed to the margins of society by racial and cultural prejudice, turned to crime in a bid for power and recognition in a world that had denied them both. Stagecoaches, small towns, and even homesteads became targets as they lashed out with a fury that both terrified and fascinated the public. A rare photograph of the gang shows them not as shadows in folklore, but as real men, defiant, hardened, and unafraid. Their expressions reflect the intense anger and desperation that marked their rampage. The law eventually caught up with them, and their capture led to swift and severe punishment. Most were executed, bringing a grim end to their chapter in frontier history. Number 16. Billy the Kid. In this uncommon photograph, we see Billy the Kid not with a revolver in hand, but calmly playing cards. A rare, quiet moment in the life of one of the Wild West's most legendary outlaws. Far removed from the chaos of shootouts and escapes, this image captures the human side of a figure more often mythologized than understood. It's a striking contrast to the hardened criminal whose name became synonymous with rebellion and defiance on the frontier. Born Henry McCarty, and also known by the alias William H. Bonney, Billy the Kid rose to infamy through a string of daring escapades, most notably his role in the Lincoln County War and his dramatic jailbreaks. His brief but explosive life came to a violent end when he was gunned down by Sheriff Pat Garrett in 1881, sealing his fate as a folk legend. But this photograph, believed to have been taken in 1877, tells a different story. One not of violence, but of a young man enjoying a moment of calm amid a life defined by danger. Despite his reputation as a cold-blooded outlaw, Billy was known for his charisma and sharp sense of humor. He made loyal friends even in hostile territory, and this candid moment reflects that complexity. Number 15. The White Dance. In the Wild West, the White Dance was a social tradition that offered a glimpse into the roles of men and women during the 19th century. In this rare photo, women are seen kneeling before their husbands to ask for a dance. While it may appear submissive by today's standards, this gesture reflected the customs and values of the time. The White Dance wasn't just about entertainment. It was a ritual tied to the expectations of marriage and family life. Women, often confined to the home, used this moment to show respect and admiration for their husbands in a public setting. Though the act of kneeling may seem old-fashioned now, it was part of a social code that gave women a brief moment of influence in a male-dominated world. Number 14. Chinese immigrants sluicing. In 1871, a rare photograph captured Chinese immigrants working in the American West, using a technique called sluicing to move earth in search of gold. These men had traveled to the United States during the gold rush, hoping to build better lives. They became an important part of the workforce, especially in mining areas throughout California and nearby regions. Despite their hard work, Chinese immigrants faced constant discrimination and were often given the toughest jobs for the lowest pay. They worked long hours in dangerous conditions, with few rights or protections. Still, they played a major role in building the West, helping to construct railroads, develop mining operations, and fuel the economy during a time of rapid growth. This image of Chinese laborers at work is a powerful reminder of both their determination and the unfair treatment they endured. As anti-Chinese sentiment grew, they were blamed for economic problems and targeted by harsh laws, including the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, which banned Chinese workers from immigrating. Even so, their contributions helped shape the West, and their story remains a vital part of American history. Number 13. Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves was one of the most remarkable lawmen of the American frontier and a trailblazer in every sense of the word. In 1875, he became the first black deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi River, enforcing the law across the vast and often violent Indian Territory. His story is one of grit, integrity, and unmatched bravery. Over the course of his career, Reeves arrested more than 3,000 criminals, often venturing alone into dangerous territory to bring outlaws to justice. He was known for his expert marksmanship, calm demeanor under pressure, and clever disguises that helped him track fugitives others couldn't catch. His courage made him a respected figure, even in a time when racism was deeply rooted in society. Reeves crossed paths with some of the most feared criminals of his day, including the infamous Belle Starr and her gang. Despite the prejudice he faced, he earned a reputation for fairness and fearlessness, becoming a powerful symbol of justice in the Wild West. His legacy lives on as one of the greatest lawmen in American history. Number 12. A Native American in cavalry uniform. This rare image, taken at Fort Keogh, Montana in 1885, captures a Native American man wearing a full cavalry uniform and holding a rifle. He served as a scout for the U.S. Army during a turbulent era in the West, when the military was deeply involved in enforcing federal policies and expanding American control across indigenous lands. Native American scouts like him played a crucial yet often overlooked role in these military campaigns, especially during the Indian Wars. Their service in the Army was full of contradictions. Some were recruited or volunteered from tribes that had been displaced or allied with the U.S. government, while others joined out of necessity, hoping to protect their families or gain favor for their people. Meanwhile, other Native nations continued to resist, fighting to hold on to their land and way of life. The man in this photograph stands as a symbol of this difficult reality, a person caught between two worlds, serving in a force that was, at times, the very one threatening his own. Number 11. Cowboys and the Gray Wolf capture. In this striking photo from 1887, we witness a moment of raw survival. Cowboys in Wyoming capturing a gray wolf. Mounted on horseback, these cowboys are using lassos, a skill essential for life on the frontier, to subdue the wild creature. The gray wolf, once a common sight across the American plains, symbolizes the untamed spirit of the Wild West. This photograph captures a glimpse into the tough, gritty lives of cowboys who faced not only the challenges of ranching, but also the dangers of the wild landscape that surrounded them. The harshness of frontier life meant that every man had to be capable of protecting himself and his livelihood. Number 10. The Deadwood Coach. The Deadwood Coach was more than just a form of transportation in the Wild West. It was a symbol of the risks, rewards, and lawlessness of the gold rush era. The stagecoach, often heavily guarded, carried gold, mail, and supplies through treacherous landscapes, making it a prime target for outlaws seeking to strike it rich. This photograph of the Deadwood Coach, while just a moment frozen in time, tells a much larger story about the gold rush, the lawlessness of the frontier, and the relentless drive for wealth that defined the Wild West. In the 1770s, Deadwood, South Dakota, became a booming town driven by the Black Hills Gold Rush. It attracted miners, gamblers, and outlaws, all hoping to strike it rich. The Deadwood Coach was a crucial lifeline for this bustling frontier town, transporting goods and precious gold across dangerous territories. But the route was fraught with peril, as bandits and robbers regularly ambushed stagecoaches in an effort to make their own fortune. The Deadwood Coach's significance lies in the dangers it symbolized. Not only did it transport wealth, but it was a literal moving target for the rough-and-tumble criminals who roamed the West. Number 9. Annie Oakley. Annie Oakley, one of the most celebrated figures in American history, broke barriers and defied expectations in an era when women were rarely seen as equals to men. In this iconic photograph, Oakley is captured in action, showcasing her exceptional sharpshooting skills. By the age of 16, she had already outperformed Frank Butler, a seasoned marksman and her future husband, in a shooting competition. This early victory set the stage for her legendary career in the Wild West show, where her extraordinary talent would make her a household name across America and Europe. Beyond her fame as a sharpshooter, Oakley became an advocate for women's empowerment, teaching women how to shoot and promoting self-defense, independence, and confidence. Her message was clear: Women were just as capable as men in mastering traditionally male-dominated skills. Oakley's impact extended far beyond the shooting range, as she helped challenge societal norms and expand the boundaries of what women could achieve. Her contributions paved the way for future generations of women in sports and beyond. Number 8. Placer mining in South Dakota. This photograph, taken in 1899, provides a glimpse into the world of placer mining, a common practice during the gold rush era, particularly in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Rockerville, a small mining town located in the Black Hills, was one of many boom towns that sprang up during the late 19th century as prospectors flocked to the area in search of gold. The photograph captures miners working in the placer mines, using simple tools such as pans, sluice boxes, and picks to sift through the earth in search of precious gold dust. Placer mining was a labor-intensive process, requiring miners to dig through riverbeds and streams to separate gold from sand and gravel. This image provides a snapshot of the difficult, often back-breaking work that defined the lives of those hoping to strike it rich. The miners in this photograph are seen working alongside a stream, their focus entirely on the task at hand. The tools they use are rudimentary, yet effective, as they work together to uncover the gold hidden beneath the Earth's surface. The photograph also speaks to the larger narrative of the Black Hills Gold Rush, a period of intense competition and struggle, both for the miners and the native Lakota Sioux, who had lived on these lands for centuries. The discovery of gold in the Black Hills led to the forced removal of the Lakota from their ancestral lands, leading to a bitter conflict with the U.S. government. Number 7. Olive Oatman. At just 14 years old, Olive Oatman's life took a dramatic turn when she was captured by Native American tribes during a raid on her family in 1851. The attack left her family dead, but Olive was taken prisoner by the Mojave tribe, who kept her in captivity for several years. During her time with the Mojave, she was tattooed on her face a permanent mark of her captivity and integration into the tribe. Olive's story is one of resilience, survival, and cultural exchange during the turbulent years of westward expansion. This rare photograph of Olive, taken after her release, shows a woman who had not only survived one of the most harrowing experiences of her life, but had also found strength and courage in the face of immense adversity. Her survival was nothing short of miraculous, and her eventual return to society as a symbol of resilience is a testament to her will to endure. After being rescued by a passing group of settlers, Olive went on to speak about her experiences, sharing her story with the world and becoming a celebrated figure of the Wild West. Number 6. The outlaw who robbed a stagecoach. Pearl Hart made history in 1899 as one of the few women to become notorious outlaws in the Wild West. Her daring stagecoach robbery in Arizona shocked both the public and law enforcement. What makes her story even more remarkable is that she pulled off the heist dressed as a man, a bold act that defied the expectations of the time and captured the attention of the media. Hart's brazen robbery, though criminal, made her a media sensation and cemented her place in Wild West folklore. Born in Canada, Pearl Hart's life took a turn when she moved to the United States and found herself caught in a series of misfortunes. She was drawn to the rough-and-tumble world of the Wild West, where she eventually met George Flatnose Parker, a fellow outlaw. Together, they decided to rob a stagecoach, targeting the valuable gold shipments being transported across the desert. Their plan, though daring, didn't go exactly as planned. They were quickly apprehended, but not before their daring act earned Hart a degree of fame. Despite being arrested and sentenced to prison, Hart's rebellious spirit and the media frenzy around her made her a symbol of defiance. While she was eventually released, her life of crime and notoriety in the Wild West became part of the enduring myths of the era, showing that the Wild West wasn't just the domain of rugged men, it also had its fierce female outlaws. Before we move on, it is time for today's subscriber's pick. Take a close look at this image. In the Wild West, lawlessness ruled, and bounty hunters were as much a part of life as the outlaws they pursued. gangs roamed the frontier, hunting criminals, and often, the line between the law and the lawless blurred. This photo captures just that, a moment when one gang caught another, and judging by their appearance, it's easy to imagine the crimes they might have committed, from theft to murder. Bounties were set, and the hunt for outlaws was relentless, as law enforcement often relied on the very same gangs to track down the criminals. So, take a close look at this picture, and let us know in the comments what you think. What does it say about the Wild West, and who do you think these men might have been? Number 5. Buffalo Bill and the Cultural Intersection. This iconic 1886 photograph features Buffalo Bill Cody, one of the most famous figures of the Wild West, standing alongside Pawnee and Sioux Native Americans. As the founder of the Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, Cody was instrumental in shaping the image of the American frontier, blending entertainment with cultural interaction in a way that would go on to influence how the Wild West was perceived across the world. Buffalo Bill's Wild West show was an international sensation, offering staged reenactments of famous events from the Wild West, such as cowboy shootouts, buffalo hunts, and Native American battles. These performances helped to romanticize the frontier and shape the popular understanding of the Wild West as a land of rugged individualism and dramatic conflict. However, these performances also played a role in perpetuating stereotypes about Native Americans, while simultaneously providing them a platform to showcase their skills and culture to audiences worldwide. This rare photograph of Cody alongside Native Americans reflects the duality of his legacy. While his show glorified Western expansion and the cowboy lifestyle, it also provided an opportunity for Native American performers to share their stories and demonstrate their strength and resilience in the face of American colonization. Number 4. Seen on the summit of the Sierra Nevada Mountains. The Sierra Nevada Mountains, a magnificent range that stretches across eastern California and western Nevada, have long captured the imagination of adventurers, pioneers, and photographers. This rare image, captured from the summit of the Sierra Nevada, takes us back to the mid-19th century, when these rugged peaks stood as both a barrier and a symbol of opportunity for those traveling westward. During the 19th century, the Sierra Nevada mountains represented the final frontier for many settlers, miners, and explorers who braved the treacherous paths in search of a better life or the promise of riches. The summit, towering at over 14,000 feet above sea level, offers a breathtaking view of the sprawling landscape below forests, valleys, and rivers winding through the land, a testament to nature's raw beauty and power. For those who made it to the top, the summit was not just a geographic achievement, it symbolized the ultimate test of endurance and resolve. The journey to reach this point was fraught with peril, extreme temperatures, unpredictable weather, and the physical toll of navigating the steep, rocky terrain. Yet, for many, the view from the top made it all worthwhile, offering a sense of accomplishment and a new perspective on the vast wilderness that lay before them. Number 3. Quanah Parker, the last chief of the Comanches. Quanah Parker, the last chief of the Comanche tribe, is an iconic figure in Wild West history, representing both the resistance to U.S. expansion and the resilience of Native American cultures. Born to a Comanche chief and a captive white woman, Parker's story is a powerful symbol of the intersection between Native American traditions and the shifting tides of American expansion. In the mid-1800s, the Comanche were one of the most powerful and feared tribes on the Great Plains, known for their horse-riding skills and fierce resistance to U.S. military forces. Under Parker's leadership, the tribe fought fiercely against the encroachment of settlers and the U.S. Army. However, as the pressure from the American government increased, Parker eventually recognized that the Comanche people needed to adapt to the changing world. Parker's ultimate transformation from warrior to negotiator is one of the most remarkable aspects of his legacy. After the defeat of the Comanches, he helped his people transition into life on reservations, often working as a mediator between the U.S. government and Native American communities. Number 2. Land rush in Oklahoma. The Oklahoma land rush of 1889 marked one of the last significant land grabs in U.S. history. Following the initial rushes in the late 19th century, this event saw thousands of settlers racing to claim land in what was then the unclaimed portion of the Oklahoma Territory. This particular photograph, taken during the land rush, captures the chaos, excitement, and desperation that characterized the event. In the early morning hours, homesteaders and settlers lined up at designated points, waiting for the signal to rush onto the land and stake their claims. The land, previously occupied by Native American tribes, had been opened up by the government, and settlers were eager to take advantage of the opportunity to claim land and build a future in the West. The photograph captures the frenzy as settlers on horseback and in wagons rush to mark their territory. The land rush of 1889 is often remembered for its chaotic and hurried nature, as settlers sought to grab as much land as possible before others could. However, this land grab was not without controversy. The Native American tribes, whose lands were being taken, were forcibly removed from the territory, and the land rush was part of a broader pattern of U.S. government actions that displaced indigenous peoples from their ancestral lands. The event exemplified the government's policies of dispossession, which continued to affect Native American communities for generations. Number 1. Bat Masterson. Bat Masterson's name is forever linked to the lawlessness of the Wild West. A legendary gunslinger known for his sharpshooting and bravery, Masterson gained fame as a key figure in Dodge City, Kansas, and the Adobe Walls gunfight of 1874. However, unlike many of his contemporaries who were forever trapped in lives of violence, Bat Masterson reinvented himself, becoming a journalist in later years. This rare photograph of him, with his confident pose and signature mustache, captures not just a feared lawman, but a man who would evolve beyond the gunfights to leave his mark on history in a different way. After his time as a lawman and gunfighter, he moved east and transitioned into writing for newspapers, eventually becoming a respected sports columnist and journalist in New York. His sharp wit and deep understanding of the rough and tumble world he had once inhabited made him a popular figure in the journalistic world. But it was his transition from gunslinger to journalist that solidified his place in American history, showing that the Wild West wasn't just about violence, but also about the possibility of reinvention and change. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.